Okay, two totally different things I'm going to discuss today. One, I've seen a few things on videos online, on forensic files or something on HLN the other day, or some documentary or something of women dying. And I mean, I understand that, lots of guys are assholes, so the first thing they always think is, oh, her husband killed her. If anything ever happens to me, if I ever fall down the stairs and my head gets caught in between the stair and the wall or something, or I fall off a ladder, some crazy shit, Ernie didn't do it, okay? He didn't. Ernie would never hurt me. So if anything ever happens like that, trust me, it wasn't him. It's much more likely it would be that one in a billion accident than Ernie doing something. I saw something, this guy spent 6 or 8 years in jail for a murder that didn't even happen because his wife fell down the steps. That's insane. So anyway, I'm just putting that out there. Second, the important thing for today. Oh, my shit's about to blow over. Pet ownership. Most people love our furry little friends. But if you're not going to be a responsible pet owner, don't fucking be one. Don't pick up 6 strays, because they're strays and they don't have a home and they look like they're starving. And then put them on a 6-foot chain in your fucking yard. Don't get them any immunizations. And then, and then when they end up on parvo, get on Facebook and go, oh, my dog has parvo. Does anybody have any antibiotics? And Gatorade. First off, big lesson for you here. Parvo's a virus. Antibiotics don't work on viruses. They work on bacteria. So if your dog has parvo, if some dog you had 10 fucking years ago had parvo and you gave it your neighbor's antibiotics that they had left over from strep throat last year, and then your dog lived, it had nothing to do with it taking antibiotics, that it lived. The only thing you can do with parvo is keep them hydrated and let it run its course. Unless there's something magically new lately, that's all you can do. And they get better or they don't. That's the 2 options. But all you can do is keep them hydrated, which for the normal person like me would mean you take them to the vet and they stay there on IV fluids for 3 or 4 days until they get better or they die. But anyway, my point is this. If you cannot afford to get your dog their immunizations, and you cannot afford flea and tick treatments for your dogs so that they don't literally die from fleas like my ex's cat did, because God forbid he spend $11 a month on flea treatment. If you can't afford to get them spayed or neutered, don't fucking get a pet. That's like adopting a child when you're living in a homeless shelter. How stupid would that be? Why? Why take on the responsibility of a living creature that you are in no way suited to take care of? And there's all these moms out there now that are these anti-vax moms, that think somehow the vaccines are related to autism or all this whatever. And I'm not getting into all that. You know, some people do it for religious reasons, but most people don't nowadays. They've gone crazy with that stuff. And I'll even give those moms that there might be a little something to that, of maybe we don't need quite as many vaccines as we give, because here in the U.S. we give more than other countries. So maybe we don't need quite as many vaccines or something. You know, something's going on with that, but that's for a whole nother day. Anyway, I don't think there's a big movement out there that I've heard of that people don't want to vaccinate their dogs on religious reasons, or they don't want to vaccinate their dogs because they think there's a link between vaccines and dog autism. You know, there's not a movement like that that I've heard of. But it's all these people, and they stop and they get these dogs, and, you know, they pick up these strays on the side of the road, and then they take no responsibility for them. The dog is better off on its own on the fucking street than on a 6-foot chain behind your house that you throw at scraps. You know, if you can't... People get in a hard place financially. And if you have a few pets that you love, that you've taken care of, and you do get in a hard place, you know, that's one thing. But to simply know you're in a hard place, to be on food stamps and not able to feed yourself, you know, to have other people helping you pay your rent, to pay your utilities on a monthly basis, then don't get a fucking pet, because you can't take care of yourself. You know, are you going to be able to pay for vaccines for this animal so it doesn't get sick? Are you going to be able to take it to the vet if it does get sick? And you know, you won't pay to get them spayed. Which means no matter how much you say, oh, I'll keep them away from other dogs. No, then how come they've had 5 litters of puppies? You know, and do you really think that you can adequately get rid of 5 litters of puppies to people that are going to take care of them? That's insane. That's insane. So unless, you know, I don't think people should have puppy mills. That's horrific. But unless you are going to breed your dog that's full-blooded something that there's going to be a demand for, you know, which we did pay $1,000 each for our Dobermans. But our other 2 dogs are rescue dogs, and the dog that was a Doberman we had before these Dobermans, which is why we got 2 Dobermans when it died, was a rescue dog. You know, but at that, though, there's not one dog. I mean, I have 4 now, but there's not one dog in this house that's past due for a shot. There's not any dog in this house that goes without medical care. You know, we have a Molly's 8 or 9. She's a rescue dog, and she's been on medications for 4 years for hip dysplasia. You know, arthritis medicine and pain pills are not cheap. I mean, they're not horribly expensive because they're dog medicine, but, you know, but they're not cheap. And when I adopted her at the pound, I took that responsibility. You know, I got her spayed. She has not had 5 litters of puppies. I got her spayed as soon as she was old enough. Little man that we've had for 13, 14 years, laying here on my kitchen floor, is a rescue dog. You know, he got neutered as soon as he was old enough. He's never gone without health care. You know, I would do whatever I needed to do to make sure my animals are taken care of, because I'm responsible for them. They can't go out and take responsibility for themselves. You know, they eat because I put food in their mouth. They drink because I put water in their bowl. And I think it's insane that people say, oh, I love my dogs. My rice is about to burn. But then you get your dogs and you take no responsibility for them. You know, you can't just forget to go out and feed them. Or you can't say, oh, I'm broke. I don't have money to buy them food. But you've got a bag of dope laying on your table. You know, if you've got $10 worth of marijuana in a bag, then for $10 you could have went and bought a cheap bag of dog food and fed them fucking dogs. You know, you've got them chained up. They have no way to go feed themselves, to water themselves, nothing. How big of a piece of shit is that? Quit doing that. Quit getting dogs and don't take care of them. That's insane. That's insane. And then you go, they get all these strays because they love these animals. And maybe it's because I'm from West Virginia and I've seen so many people do this. But it's so stupid. Oh, I thought I heard something. I was like, what the hell was that? It's my husband out there working on my barn. Anyway, it's part of this whole thing of not taking responsibility. People, over the last 20 years, it seems like it's gotten really bad. Like, people feel this sense of entitlement that they don't need to take any responsibility to feed their own kids, to take care of their animals, you know, to pay their own rent. Get a job, motherfucker. Get a job. How about that? How about get a job? You know, I don't mind helping people that need help. But, you know, there's been 2 cases that people that know me in the last couple years that I have poured thousands upon tens of thousands of dollars into helping 2 different people. Because I felt like they never had a really good chance. And if I let them have a chance, they would better their lives. You know, these people are not stupid. You know, there's nothing wrong with them. They would better their lives if they had a chance. And, you know, these people were provided for very well. I gave $50 every now and then. I mean, these people were provided for. And neither one of them bettered their lives. Not one little bit. Not one little bit. You know, and they won't. They won't better their lives. And it's that they don't feel responsible to feed their own kids. You know, if you are in a car accident or you're disabled or something like that and you can't work and you need food stamps to help you, fine. Get food stamps to help you. But then don't have 5 more kids while you're on food stamps. If you can't feed the ones you've got, don't go have more. You know, if you've got 1 dog and you can barely afford to always feed that dog, don't go get 4 more dogs and chain them up in a row in the yard. Be responsible. You know, I don't have more money than God, but I did have a couple $1,000 squirreled back to go to Nicaragua for a month for Christmas. And then one of our wonderful 6-year-old Dobermans, Lisa, got wobblers. And so that $2,000 was gone before the first week was up. And so now, I mean, that's been several weeks ago. So now it's December 17th, and I'm not in Nicaragua, am I? No, I'm not. So now, for weeks, Lisa has been eating, and I'm blocking my own camera on the iPad, rice and boiled chicken. And every 2 days I make her fresh rice and fresh boiled chicken. And this is what Lisa's been living on. I put a little bit of brown rice in there because I think that's more nutritious. And her white rice and her chicken broth because she can't drink water or she, within 2 minutes, has vomited all of it back up. Pumpkin, because that's good for her nauseous stomach. Green beans, which I put in her rice and chicken. yogurt, plain yogurt, because I figure she needs the probiotics. So we've been putting yogurt in her mix twice a day because we're having to feed her about 6 or 8 times a day, smaller meals, because if she gets too much food at all, she throws up. So we can't just feed her like twice a day. We have to feed her about 6 or 8 times a day. And also, you know, Ernie works. If I went to Nicaragua, there would be nobody here to feed Lisa 6 or 8 times a day. So, you know, and like right here's her big pan, which I'll feed her the last of this here soon, and put her new rice and chicken in there. But it's just that, I guess. It's that people don't take responsibility for themselves. And then they do things like they don't have dog food, but they're low on marijuana. So they bum $10 off of somebody, or they steal something and sell it for $10. And they take that $10 and they buy dope instead of buying a bag of dog food. And that's insane. You know, and they say, well, we got this dog because he was being abused. We went to our friend's house and they were putting cigarettes out on him. First off, why would you be friends with somebody that's putting cigarettes out on a motherfucking dog? So are they like your dope dealer? I mean, is that why you're going over there? Because why would you be friends with somebody like that? You know, I don't know, but you know, don't be friends with people like that. That's crazy. And then you take that dog and you take it home and then half the time you don't feed it. You know, you don't get it any vaccinations. If it gets sick, you know, you do nothing about it, basically, besides it's usually parvo because none of them are ever vaccinated, and you get online and say, I need to borrow some antibiotics and $5 for Gatorade because I'm out of food stamps, but I'll pay you back on the 1st. Really? Really? Responsibility. I mean, this has been happening over time, I guess, but it seems like it's really amped up. You know, it started spiraling about 20 years ago, and now it's gotten to the point it's just really intolerable. So you have all the people that are fucking just total psychopaths that, you know, murder monkeys and pose with pictures of their dead bodies with their babies hanging on to them who are still alive. That you're dragging their dead bodies out of the woods and the baby, you know, up on the end of your gun, hanging on for dear life that you'll sell as a pet to somebody. I mean, people like that just really need to be took out. People like that just need to be shot in the face. And because they don't deserve to breathe air. That's insane. If you will do something like that, then you will do that shit to a person. Because that's insane. So you have those people, and then you have the people who, you know, aren't total psychopaths and aren't purposely out massacring monkeys, but they take no responsibility. They take no responsibility for themselves, for their children, for their pets. They take no responsibility. It's wrong. It's just wrong. And somewhere, I'm not sure where that line should be. Because it's a slippery slope. You know, I've always said, you know, people with, I'm sorry, but like I went to high school with this girl who, you know, she was like one of those kids that, like, they went till they were like 21 or 23 or something. They just kind of automatically graduated them. I mean, this girl was like really, really not developmentally relayed. She was, I mean, I don't know what the proper word for it is anymore. You're not supposed to say retarded. But the girl was severely mentally retarded. You know, she was severely. And somehow, though, she ended up getting married. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but she did end up getting married to some guy who was very mentally retarded, but less than her. And, because he could, like, talk and stuff, but he was just very, very slow. And, well, of course, they started having kids. She didn't know how to use birth control. She didn't even comprehend how she was getting pregnant. You know, and so I don't even think they never let her take any of them home from the hospital because, you know, it was more than obvious. She couldn't even meet her own needs very well, so there's no way. She would have just not known to feed it, not known to change its diaper. She would not have been able to take care of it. So I don't think they ever let her take any home from the hospital. And after a couple of kids, they tried to get her, I don't know if it was Child Protective Services or just her social worker, whoever, tried to get her tubes tied. And the doctors wouldn't do it because they said she was not mentally competent to sign the consent forms because she could not comprehend the known risks of any surgery. They tried to get the doctor to just put a Norplant in her arm. And they couldn't get an OBGYN to do it because she couldn't sign the consent forms. And I mean, of course, this woman and her husband went on to have child after child after child after child. And
you know the back door.
So my video got interrupted because Ernie came in yelling to open the door and let the dogs out. I can't pause a video, sweetheart. So I've always thought that people like that, there should be a way to sterilize them. But who draws that line, and where do you draw that line? I mean, do we actually put if you have an IQ below 80, below 70, who draws that line? You know, because that's a slippery slope. Who decides when the line gets moved? You know, then do we end up with, well, you can't have a child unless you have an IQ above 100, above 110, because then that would make everybody in our society smarter and have the ability to be more productive. You know, where do you draw that line? That's a slippery slope. So I've always thought, yes, you know, you can't really do that. That's like the Hitlery shit that went on, you know, in World War II. And you just can't, because who can you trust to draw that line? Is it going to matter just whether Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, you know, are in the White House or have enough seats in Congress? You know, is the line going to get shifted around to a place that's not okay to shift a line to? Slippery slope. So you have to put that line somewhere, though, it seems like, because we never drew a line, you know, and now we've ended up with all these people that have had all these kids that they've never taken responsibility for. And I'm not talking about that situation with that girl that you know, was mentally not able. I'm just talking about people that have intentionally not taken responsibility for their kids or their pets or anything. And then, you know, and they've had 5, 6 kids half the time. Because what did they care? All that got them was an apartment with more bedrooms that they didn't have to pay for because they had more kids. And now all those children grew up being told, you don't need to take care of your glasses, because even though my insurance will only pay for a pair of glasses every 2 years, you know, Medicaid will pay for 8 pairs in 2 years. Go ahead. Don't keep up with those glasses. It doesn't matter. It doesn't cost us anything, right? It costs me. Doesn't cost them, though. So they raised this whole generation of irresponsible people who never had to do anything to put a bite of food in their mouth, never had to pay a co-payment on anything. So they never, if they don't want to wait in the doctor's office, if they don't want to go sit in the ER and wait for 4 hours, they just call 911 and go by ambulance because it's free. It's not free for me. And if it was something that's not really ambulance worthy, my Blue Cross Blue Shield would turn the entire claim down and I'd have a $2,000 ambulance bill. But it just seems like now all those people have been raised to be irresponsible and not take any responsibility for themselves, their pets. Oh, your leg looks so bad. And so now instead of, 4 moms that are like that, we've got their 16 children that are like that. And all of those are having 4 or 5 kids. And those kids are now having kids. So now everything is just getting sucked and sucked out of the system to where people that truly need it can get it. People, they have to set the bar to get Medicaid so fucking low because the people that have it are sucking all they can out of it. When Medicaid is paying for hotel rooms and 3 meals a day for mom, that's more than insurance. That's the golden fucking ticket right there. That's insane. And, and they've encouraged, through doing all this, they've encouraged all this generation of people to never get married and never make a commitment. Why are you giving me that?
Just in case.
Okay. And never make a commitment, because that way they can all lie on their paperwork and just say it's them and their 3 kids and get all these fucking benefits while they live with a guy who, I'm going to use West Virginia as an example, works in the coal mines and makes $70,000 or $75,000 a year. Because then that's $70,000 or $75,000 a year pocket change, because their rent is getting paid, their utilities are getting paid, they have no medical expenses, they have all their food stamps because according to them, it's them and 3 kids and no income. Or, they're on SSI. They all go get on SSI. The second they said you can only be on welfare 4 years your whole fucking life or something, they just all went and got on SSI. And so they still all get all their benefits. But then when, let's say there's a mom and a dad and 2 or 3 kids, and, dad makes $20, $25, $30 an hour doing whatever, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. They've got 2 car payments. They've got to pay rent or a mortgage. They're paying their electric bill. It's not like they're stocking all that fucking money back. They're trying to live. They're not getting clothing vouchers to pay for their kids' school clothes. They're buying that shit out of their pocket. Well, then what if something happens and dad falls off of a ladder or something and breaks his fucking leg and can't work for 3 months? But they can't get food stamps because, God forbid, they've worked and bought things. They have shit in their name. They have cars in their name. How are they supposed to pay any of this stuff? That's what those safety nets are for. That's what they're intended for. Safety nets, not a way of life. So, be a responsible pet owner has now turned into be a responsible motherfucking human being. But I really think we're past the point of redemption. There's so many of them now. And I actually argued with a bitch the other day because she said, well, they can just print more money. What difference does it make? It's the government. Bitch, learn economics 101, okay? It's not a matter of they can just print more money. That's not the way that shit works. They can just print more money. Are you fucking kidding me? And that is honestly the mentality of these people, is that they do not understand. Eventually, it's going to collapse. Eventually, there's not going to be enough money. You know, and I really think we're not far from that point. You know, if somebody doesn't do something tremendous, not just, oh, we can change this law or change. No, we need something tremendous to change. In just the next couple years, or the bottom is going to fall out of that fucking system. And these people who have never lifted a finger other than to go down to the welfare office and fill out that application and swipe that EBT card. You know, when those people, sorry, my battery's getting low. When those people have to do something to feed themselves, they're going to be lost. What are they going to do? What the fuck are they going to do? But then the sad thing is, the people that truly can't work, that can't feed themselves, that, you know, that are disabled or whatever, that really do deserve us as a society to help them, they're going to be out of luck too. You know, and I dare them bitches to come try to get my shit. I dare them. I fucking dare them. You know, unless there's 100 of them all coming to my house at the same time, I'll take care of them bitches. But it's crazy. It's crazy. What's everybody's thoughts on this?